Hey everyone, my name's Kaylene Joseph. I'm a manual osteopath and the clinic owner of Happy Bones Osteopathy and Wellness Clinic located in Newmarket, Ontario, Canada. Thank you so much for joining in and checking out these videos. I'm hoping to be able to upload a ton of different videos to help suit your needs while we're all staying at home. And you know, the lifestyle's changed. We're sitting a lot more. We're not moving as much as we used to. So feel free to peruse through all the things that I am going to add for you over the next, entirety of my life. We'll see how that goes. Today we're going to focus on hip mobility, and hip mobility is important. Any mobility in any joint is important. So here we're focusing on the hip joint. We're going to focus on moving it, stretching it, all that good stuff. And I think it's relevant today because a lot of us are sitting a lot. We're working at home, and the extent of our movement during the day is pretty much between our desk and the kitchen, maybe up some stairs. Maybe some of you don't have any stairs. So this is important. Feel free to use this as needed. You can do it once or twice a day, once during the week, whatever suits your needs. All I'm going to say is please, please, please listen to your body. If something doesn't feel right, your body knows best. Make sure to modify it or hang on, listen to my instructions. I may give you a modification. And if not, feel free to reach out and I will find something that works for you, or I will do my best. So without further ado, let's get to mobilizing the hip. Motion is lotion. It's true. Let's get to it. All right, my friends, here we go. We're gonna start off with really isolating the hip joint and warming it up. I love doing this before I go for a run, or if I am feeling very stiff in the morning after a big workout, or maybe I've been sitting a lot, all those different scenarios. When you're feeling really stiff in your hips, this is a great time to do it. So to start, we're going to bring our soles of the feet in front of us, knees are bent, and take a bit of a wider stance so that your feet are just about a little bit bigger than hip width apart, okay? Give yourself lots of room. While you're here, if you find it difficult to hold yourself up straight and you think you're gonna fall into the trap of slumping, feel free to either use a wall behind you to help prop you up so that you can work on keeping your body nice and straight, or you can bring your arms behind you, gently roll the shoulders back, kiss those shoulder blades together, tent your fingers, slight bend in the elbow, and give yourself some support that way. So while we're working through this, we're going to start with the right leg. So we're going to start with external rotation. And what external rotation looks like in the hip is the whole leg moving out towards the side. So the knee is pointing out and we're coming back in. So you're working within your comfortable range of motion. Okay, so you're going to find that spot where maybe it starts to kind of stop, feels a little restricted. That's probably where you're working into. And we're going to start there, and you may find that as we go along, rotating to neutral and back, that range of motion slightly starts to increase. Good. So now working with internal rotation, just so you get the sort of way the movement works, we're going to string it together after. Internal rotation, as you may have guessed, goes towards the inside. So moving the leg as a whole, that knee comes toward the inside. It should almost be touching the inside of your other leg. If it is touching, take your stance a little bit wider. And we're bringing it back in. So you can see that as I rotate externally and internally, the whole leg is moving as one, and the sole of the foot is even starting to tip off of the floor. So stringing this into a whole movement together, you're going to start externally and pass through internally. I like to do 15 to 20 of these on each leg when I'm warming up or when I need to loosen up my hips. And I just patiently work through it. This is a great time to tune into your shoulders. So do you find that your shoulders are starting to curve forward? Are you losing that posture? Make sure we're sitting up nice and tall out of the waist, nice and strong, and keep moving through this. You're going to start to feel those hips fire up, and it's going to be a great feeling. When you're done your 15 to 20, make sure to switch onto the other side. Don't worry, you may feel a bit of a difference from side to side. Maybe one hip has more range of motion than the other. That's okay. We are not perfect symmetrical beings. So feel free to work on it, work on both sides, make sure everything is worked evenly, and hopefully one side catches up to the other. All right, exercise number 2. We are going to stretch through the hip flexors. So we're going to come into a tabletop position. So shoulders are over the wrists, hips are over the knees, and we're going to bring that left foot forward into a nice lunge. So while you're here, make sure that that left knee is planted right over that left ankle, and we're going to start to reach that back knee back, so you can start to inch it back behind you. Think of a pair of scissors when they are open in this position. So you have opposing forces working the opposite way. Your left knee is pulling you forward, where your right hip and knee and toes are reaching back behind you. So while you're here, just a quick little note, this is version number 1. If you're feeling a really good stretch here, hang on to it. Tune into your foot. Make sure the top of your foot, where your shoelaces would be, is really in contact with the floor. Want to make sure that we're not sickling through that foot. And if you're finding it a little tough on your knee, feel free to roll your yoga mat over or add a towel in and give yourself some extra cushioning. So from here, version number 2, if you're comfortable in this position, you want a little bit more of a stretch, is you are going to bring both hands up onto your left knee. We're squaring off the hips, making sure that they are facing forward. So if you had 2 flashlights, both lights would be pointing forward, and we're going to start to sink in to that right hip. When we're doing these, I always suggest to hold these stretches for a minute to a minute and a half, whatever works for you. If you want to break it into 30-second increments and then come out and give yourself a little rest and then go back in, do whatever works for you. The point is that we want to hold it long enough to breathe into it so that our body can get used to that movement and accept it and, recognize it as an okay way to move and to stretch and to open up, so that it's sending some extra love and energy to that area. And then, of course, make sure to do this on the left side. So working through the left side, holding on to that 30-second increments, or if it's really easy for you, hold on to it for the minute and a half, whatever works for you. Make sure we're working both sides. Exercise number 3, I like to call the Froggy. So this is really working the inside groin and that hip joint again. This one can be a tough one. Make sure you breathe through it, give yourself lots of breaks, and work within your body's comfort level. So again, what we're going to do is, just like we did before, we're going to come back into the tabletop position and make sure that we have our shoulders right over our wrists and our hips right over our knees. And from here, we're going to come right down onto our elbows. You can grab onto your hands, make a little tripod if you'd like. And from here, we're going to start to walk our knees out, keeping the bend in both of our legs, coming into a froggy. So you're basically opening up. It almost feels like you're going into a wide split. So the inside of our knees are touching the mat. And from here, you can start to rock back and forth. And you start to feel that stretch in and between your groin and that warming up sensation, just like from our internal external rotation. The forward and backward movement of the hip joint starts to send that lotion into the joint itself. So gently going back and forth. As I mentioned before, I like to hold these for about 30 to 90 seconds, whatever works for you. Or if you like to deal with reps, you can move shifting back and forth 20 to 30 times, whatever works for you. So you'll probably feel that as we go ahead with this, with gravity, your hips do start to slowly open up. So you may start feeling your knees shift into a wider position. Exercise number 4, we're going to do a really great, nice and juicy hip stretch. Some of you might know this as cow pose. If you've been on my table before, I've most likely put you into a stretch like this and assisted you with an extra push. So this is a really great one to do. Again, holding it 30 to 90 seconds, take your break when you need to, listen to your body and breathe into it. So we're going to come onto our back. The knees are pointing up, and you're going to cross your right leg over your left as if you were sitting cross-legged, kind of like a girly girl. And from here, what you're going to do is you're going to lift your knees up towards your chest, and you're going to grab onto your ankles or your shin, wherever works for you. If you can only grab onto underneath your hamstring of your left leg, that's okay too. So the goal here is to pull the ankles outwards as if you're tying a knot and bring the knees in towards your chest. And on this side, you're going to feel a nice big stretch in your right hip. So make sure that you do this on the other side. And again, you may feel that this is going to be a little bit different from side to side. Again, our hips are not completely symmetrical. So it is totally okay if you feel less or more of a stretch on the other side. No judgment here. Keep up with it, keep at it, and you're gonna feel great. And that is it from me today, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this helps you with your hips and is something that you can easily add into your routine. If you have any suggestions for future videos, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you have any questions or comments, obviously leave them there too. Feel free to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Happy Bones Wellness, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.